Greetings, everyone. This is Leon, and today we're doing another show with the real estate twins, Donna and Diane. And we've got a new guest today. It's Miss Jessica Gomes, who is a financial wizard and is going to tell us a little bit about finance, because the last time we run the show, we were talking about the 101 of real estate and gentrification and all those different kind of things. And today we're going to go a little bit more detail of what you ladies do, and also explain some of the financial aspects of what the process is and why you're all here. So as normal, we have the real estate person, we have the mortgage person, and the person who describes it all and makes sense of it is the financial person. So since you're the newest person here at the table, we're going to start with you, Miss Jessica. Please tell us about yourself and a little bit about what you do.
Awesome. So my name is Jessica Gomes. I am an independent financial professional, and I've really found that my passion in this space, in the space of finance, is education. I learned from many failed businesses before I've done this that I did not have the financial knowledge to be able to take the correct steps to reach higher levels of success. So I always reached a level of success, but I was never really able to, step into, the bigger realm of business because of the mistakes that I made. And so I just dedicated myself to learning how to financially prepare yourself to really expand in business. And as I've learned how to do that, I've gotten a passion for teaching other people how to do it as well, so that they don't make the same mistakes that I made.
Now, out of that, from that passion, which gave you that passion, was the thought of unknown information or barriers, or not people not giving you or not knowing where to go and not who to talk to? How did you get around those things?
How did I get around all of it? I never really saw myself as having any barriers. If I'm honest, I never really saw things in that way, because when I did not have the financial knowledge, at the time, I honestly didn't even know that I needed it. I didn't know that there was information out there. I was just kind of winging it and going along, figuring things out, making mistakes. But once I did start to learn about things like, the tax code, right? I love the tax code and teaching people as much as I can about taxes and how it's important to understand taxes and how to pay them. As I started learning these things, that was when it clicked in my mind, like, wow, this is essential information that we have access to. We don't not have access to it. It's just not something that is taught in the current education system, unless you pay to go to college to learn how to do it. But not everyone, that's not everyone's path.
Right.
So I've never felt like anything was hidden or like there was no access to it, more so ignorance.
Okay. So now we're going to get back into how you got in touch and contact with these two ladies and make the trifecta of financial expertise, mortgage, and house, and buying a house. So tell us how you met this lady.
Actually, there's a colleague of mine who introduced me to Jessica. And then we met, but it just kind of took off from there because we had different plans. We both are very passionate about financial literacy. And Donna and I it was very important for us from the very beginning to partner with people who maybe had the knowledge we didn't have, or even if we had it, we're not equipped to share it in a way that can actually teach people. So when we got together and we realized we had these things in common, it just made sense, from a financial perspective. And also because as a mortgage loan officer, I frequently bump into people who want to buy, but they're not ready to buy. And it's like, how do I help them before they can make that big step? And then it was natural. It just felt like the right thing to do to plug us all together so that we could provide a holistic approach and experience for our clients.
Well, that's one of the things that we had talked about is, financial literacy and everything like that as far as the mortgage end. And as I transfer over to the real estate end, and as important as that is, and that making the connection, I'm going to ask you real quick back, who did you meet first?
Diane.
Okay. I always ask that question. Now,
Yes.
You know, in that sense, okay, because is it sort of like, you know, not backwards or putting the cart before the horse, but is it important to, if you're going to buy a house, know a mortgage broker before you know a real estate broker, or is it, you know, does that matter? Because once you answer that question, and I'm going to come to you.
I don't think that it does matter in which direction it is that you move in, because whenever you're making such a huge financial decision, it takes a team.
Okay.
And so it doesn't matter who you meet first, because
Okay.
at some point within that transaction, the other person is going to be pulled in, and you
Okay.
cannot do it without everyone involved.
Okay. Okay, and that's one of the things that you were talking about on the forum here is financial mistakes and things that you need to know about. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I met Jessica through Diane, actually, and she already had like so many ideas and things that she wanted to do, which Diane and I have always been very big on, wanting to be involved in education and all of those sorts of things. For me, as a realtor, it's like I can provide so much, but I also want to be able to give people resources as to like spaces or people that they can talk to if they're not ready yet, because a lot of times if you go into the space, and that's what can be very intimidating about real estate, is that you go into the space and maybe you get a one no from somebody who's not willing to take the time out to teach you and give you that sort of information. And it's nice to be able to let people know that even if they're not ready now, it doesn't mean that they will not be ready at some point in time, whether that's 6 months down the line or a year down the line.
Now, that being said, you were talking about not being ready. You know, when you get, you know, when somebody comes in and says, I got this idea for this house, and then, you know, it's like, I want to go buy, and you're like, okay, I got somebody for you, but I need you to, there's steps that you need to take. Is that what you say? You need to talk to Jessica?
Exactly. So it could either be that they know already from the very beginning that they're not ready and they just go directly to Jessica, or they've had an experience where they went to a loan officer for like Diane, for example, and realized they're not as equipped or ready as they think that they are. And so from there, it would transition from Diane over to Jessica.
Okay, so there is that process to where you guys are both involved at some particular point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, let me see, going on. Now, in that process, as a financial advisor, are you know, in most cases, people are going to ask, are you licensed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm licensed for life and health insurance.
Okay, and explain that process. I mean, is that a you know, one of those like you got to study a lot?
Yeah.
Or, you know, I mean, you
yes,
know.
you do.
Okay.
Yes, you do. So real estate and insurance, the process is identical pretty much. So you have to study, you have to take a state exam, it's federally regulated, you have to get a license, you have to hold that license, you have to carry what we call as E&O insurance, which is basically like a malpractice insurance, but just for finance.
Okay.
And so when I first got into the business, I had done all of that, and the focus was just insurance. I thought that that was really all that I had access to.
Okay.
But then as I started learning all of the different ways that all of these different areas of finance are kind of interconnected, and they interconnect with different fields, you know, like law or real estate, you know, CPAs, tax law, everything kind of like intersects. And so I saw a need within the community, and at that point I had access to get the answers. So I pretty much just took it upon myself to start learning as much as I could in different industries to see what I could help with the licenses that I had.
Okay. And is also as far as your passion, two things. One, bringing it to the community and bringing it to women of color. Is that one of your inspirations as far as your passion?
It is my passion to bring it to the community, not to any specific demographic within the community. I do think if you look at it proportionately, that there are some demographics that will benefit from what I do at a higher rate than other demographics. But as far as my passion and who it is that I'm trying to reach anyone that could benefit from any of the information that I have to offer, because we're all parents and we all have children.
Right.
And the children are our future, and we have to, it is our responsibility to lay a solid foundation for our children. It is our responsibility to make sure that they're growing up in a world where they can see the opportunity that's in front of them, because a lot of times there's opportunity but people cannot see it.
Correct.
And so it is my passion to bring my skill to anyone who feels the same way.
Well, you definitely hear it in your voice.
Yeah. Right? See, now you see what drew us to
Right.
And
No, but it's
part
true.
about it
Yeah.
too
It's
is
true.
like where we all like love the community work, and I think this is why it like meshes so well together, because
partnership was
everything
just
we
natural.
talk about always is centered around community
Yes.
and making sure that we are sort of like being that space for people to learn more and, you know, hopefully make better decisions financially, real estate wise, and just don't put it out of your mind that, you know, you have the opportunity to do it.
Now, do you find yourselves actually at a table, at the same table with customers or clients? Like, I know customers are not clients. Excuse me, switching my room.
Yeah.
But do you ever find yourself at this, you know, at the same table with with somebody? You know, it's like, okay, well, here's your financial person, here's your real estate, and here's your mortgage person.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Yes.
and you know, and is that in a sense when it becomes real for that person on the other side?
Yeah, I think a lot of times with all of us, we're looking for like some level of commitment. I can tell you, Jessica, like while we have her as a resource, we certainly don't want her working with people who aren't serious.
Okay.
So we do try to gauge like a level of how committed folks are.
Yeah.
And I think from a financial literacy perspective, it really does need to be that. You have to be committed to knowing, you have to be committed to learning, and you have to be committed to sticking to a process that really financial literacy, a big portion of it is practicing self-discipline.
Okay.
It's practicing things that people sometimes don't love doing. So we know where like, the aspect of the business that people don't always love, right?
Okay.
But we are still thinking, hey, if we found a way to educate people in a way that maybe they would enjoy or would be I think a little bit more easy for them to digest, it could help to maybe spread that.
As I would say, you guys as a team will take a person who's not knowledgeable or who just is out there and take them to a safe place and explain to them in a safe way and land them literally in a way that and it's like, okay, well, if we got to take this back up a little, and get some more altitude.
Well said.
Right.
Well said.
So explain, like she said, not so much the dark side, but the issues that people don't pay attention to that they, it's like before they come to you or when they come to you, it's like, okay, listen, this is what you're going to need to do. This is how you're going to need to do it. I know you tried it your way, but and this, so how do you deal with that kind of sort of ignorance or not knowing?
I think the biggest issue that I encounter with people, and this is everyone, is mindset.
Okay.
Because when you hear them talk about a poverty mindset and a wealth mindset, it's real. And I didn't experience it. I'd read about it and understood it, but I didn't experience it until I entered into the world of finance, and now I'm hanging around a bunch of millionaires, that I want to become one day. That I really got to experience that difference in the mindset. Okay. And so when I meet with people and they sit down, you spoke about when does it become real, right? So for me, when it becomes real is when someone who's never had access to any type of financial assistance at all, right? Because if you want help in securities, from a securities advisor, you're gonna need to have like $100,000, you know what I mean, to invest in order to just sit down at the table with them. So most people have never been able to sit with someone, period.
Okay.
But when you sit down with someone, even if they're in debt, and you're able to give them an itemized list and say, okay, this is your goal, right? We're gonna call and talk to, Diane or Donna, figure out what it is they need from you.
Right.
And now, this is bullet point 1, I need you to do this. And then once you do that, this is bullet point 2. And then next week we're gonna meet and we're gonna check in and make sure that you got all of those things done. If you need help with anything, I'll help you. And then this is the next step, and then this is the next step, and then end goal here, this is when you have your down payment. That's when it becomes real for people.
Okay.
When they see the steps that make it actionable for them, and when they have someone or a team who is willing to sit with them and help them do all of this, then they're willing to do it. Because if they're just like, oh my God, I need $20,000 for a down payment, I'm never gonna be able to do that. But I'm like, okay, well, first we're gonna make sure that we have a plan for your debt, and we need to make these phone calls. That's when it becomes real to them, and that's when the mindset starts changing, because then they start to believe in themselves.
You can see the wheels turning.
Yes,
wheels turning.
That's when they start to actually believe in themselves.
Okay.
And when you start meeting with people and they make progress, and it doesn't matter how much progress it is, any progress is progress. But sometimes people just need like an accountability buddy.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so the mindset is the biggest issue that I see in people. But as they start working with you and you start accomplishing goals and they see that there is help and support there for them, that's when their mindset starts to change.
Right, yeah.
And then
I like
it becomes
to
easier.
sound like a financial therapist.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, all right, you're veering off. I know you're looking at that Lexus, but remember, you want that bedroom house.
Yes. And so you make something that to them just seems like it's just a dream or an idea, right? And you're able to pull it out of their mind and put it onto paper, and now you made it a reality. Now it's something tangible that they can touch.
Okay.
And I think it creates better habits in general. Like once you've learned, financial literacy and even buying a house, at this point, there's no reason for you to not adjust your behavior in other aspects of your life. I just think that sometimes it could be like that small change that really amplifies what you can become or what you can do.
What they say is like one degree.
One
degree will change, eventually change the course of a boat.
So, and like for me personally as well, like I think we talk about it as though like this is the first step, but also like I like to think of Jessica as somebody who is following our clients even after the loan is closed, right?
Yeah,
because we have long-term goals that clients want to achieve, and I think a lot of times if we're able to help clients achieve that too, I mean, you kind of are able to create a sense of I'm a resource for you. I'm not just here to help you buy a house. You know what I mean? Like I'm here for you even beyond this purchase. So those are some of the things that I think a lot of people need to feel from people in the financial space as well. Like we're not just here to work with you while it benefits us. Like we're here for the long term to see what other goals you have. And to be honest, we've spoken about this before, like in terms of house hacking and things like that. Sometimes home ownership is a step towards larger financial goals. And we have to be able to create that pathway and create a strategy for people to go that way and maybe accomplish other goals even far beyond the home ownership.
Well, that being said, on both sides of that, how do you it's like when you say that you've gotten to this point, it's like, okay, well, now that you've got this point, you've got this money and you're in this place, where do you want to go? And you say, Jessica, listen, here's what happened. Let me sit you down with these people before they go, can I say the word rich? For those who know, you know what I'm talking about, but you know what I'm saying. So before you go out and before the money's burning a hole in your pocket, you have, it's like, okay, you got the house, and then now let's work on what happens afterwards. But you still have your mortgage, you still have your taxes, you still have whatever.
Maintenance.
Now it's like it's like let's look at that, because now that you've got this, let's move. We got to keep moving forward because you want to stay in that house.
Exactly.
So how do you explain that to them and break that down to prospective people?
Yeah, so I explain to everyone the very first time that we meet that finance is a journey. So we're not going to just meet today and work on this one goal. Your goals are going to consistently change, and as you make progress, those action steps are going to change as well. So with my clients, I always make sure that they have access to everything that I have access to, all of the information that they're sharing with me, and whatever goals it is that we have built out, they have access to it, so they can always go in and change the information as it needs to change. And then we can adjust their goals, because again, a lot of us did not grow up with any type of financial education or literacy, and we don't even see the opportunity out there. So oftentimes people will sit with me and they're like, I want to buy a house, or I'm trying to get out of debt. They're not even thinking about all of the other opportunity that's out there for them. They can't even see it, right? But as we start making progress and they start wanting to learn more and their goals become bigger than they ever imagined they could be, now they're going to start to see the other opportunities around them, and so their goals change. And so I just always explain to them that this is a journey. If anything changes, or if you ever hear about anything and you think that this could be a part of your plan, let me know so that we can see if we can work it in.
Top 5 mistakes people make every day when they come to you.
5 mistakes?
Yes.
First mistake is not coming.
Okay.
That is a word.
First mistake is not coming. A lot of people feel that if they don't have a bunch of money to invest, that they're not ready to speak to an advisor, and that is simply just not true. My lowest net worth client is homeless. I met him at Panera, and I would sit in there and do work with him, and we would work together, and his credit now is about a 650, and he has some savings, So it doesn't matter where you are. If you can meet with an advisor, meet with an advisor. That would be the first step. I'd say the second biggest misconception that I see when it comes to insurance is that most people, when they hear insurance, they think it's a scam. And they think that you are trying to sell them something. But one of the things that is not taught to the community, and I feel it's intentional, is that you can use insurance to get yourself ahead. You can leverage it in different ways than just having it as a death benefit. All these rich people that you see, they're not coming out of pocket for all of these emergencies that they have. They're leveraging insurance for it. You can use insurance as collateral. If you want to buy another property, if you're looking to invest and you don't have anything to put up for it, you can use insurance for that. People are completely unaware of that. Taxes, another thing with taxes. So you pay taxes differently depending on what the entity is. If you're just an individual person, a sole proprietor, an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, if you are a trust, taxes are all paid differently. And so you can use insurance to help you take advantage of different tax advantages that are out there that are in the tax code that is just not taught. So teaching people the different ways that you can actually use insurance to benefit you is big, and that's a huge misconception, is that insurance is just some scam. Third biggest mistake, I guess, would people be saying, I'm not ready yet? I don't know if I already said that one, but people, sitting down and saying, you know what, I'm not ready for this, and I found that it's just them being overwhelmed. So you have the person who is too overwhelmed to even sit down with you, so they never come. Then you have the person that does come, and once they see everything laid out in front of them, they get overwhelmed, and then they don't want to move forward, and they make excuses for why they don't want to move forward. And you never want someone to feel uncomfortable. If someone doesn't want to move forward, then maybe it's just not the right timing for them. But that's where I think a team is super important, because sometimes people just need a cheerleader, Fourth mistake that I see that people make, big mistake that I see a lot of people make, and it's not everyone, but I feel that there is a misconception that in order for you to invest, you have to put your money into the stock market. You have to invest, in like cryptocurrencies and things like that.
No, it's Forex.
And honestly, if you're talking about like diversification, you do want to have money in, the variable market. But if you're struggling, you don't. The variable market is like the casino. Like you don't want to start trying to make money at the casino.
Right.
So that I would say is a big mistake that I see for a lot of people, not everyone, but for some people that are coming in, they're like just trying to get by, and they're like, oh, I have like this stock and I'm investing this money and I'm putting all of this money in, and I'm like, no, don't start there. So that would be number 4, I think. And then number 5, this is one that I'm very passionate about, people not having proper estate planning. Estate planning is huge. We need more estate planning within the community for the transfer of wealth, really, to make sure that all of these houses are transferring from one generation to another generation when someone passes. A lot of what's happening in the state is you have outside investors that are coming in and they're buying the homes and then they're renting out the homes, and so it's pushing people out of their communities. And because of a lack of financial literacy, families really do not know the correct process to be able to transfer that wealth over. So a lot of families, like my own included, get stuck in probate processes, which is completely avoidable if you do simple estate planning, and then with estate planning as well, there are many, many different ways that you can use estate planning and trust to make sure that you are cycling your wealth back through your family instead of having to pay it all off, to the government. So those I think would be the 5 biggest misconceptions or mistakes that I see when people come in.
Well, again, and you were talking about estate planning and continuing that process and keeping it in the family. With the mortgage agent and real estate agent, how does that process work? It's like, okay, well, we've got this house, we want to sell it, or again, you talk to, who do you go to you first, and you say, okay, well, here's the situation, and then come to you, and then talk to Jessica, or how does that all, how do you guys play together on that?
The nice thing is, like, Jessica and I, we talk every week. We meet every week, so if there's an opportunity for us to assist one another, we will definitely do that. And we don't necessarily step on each other's toes, but if she says, hey, I have a scenario, what do you think about this? And we collaborate to try to find a solution that would work best for our client of choice, or whoever's, whoever we're working with.
Now, she gave five examples and you've given examples as well, but in reference to what she's talking about, and since she's here, what do you find between dealing with her and people coming to you? You're like, okay, wait a minute, you got 3 out of 5 now, you got to go back and do 5 or this one, so, how does that work between you two?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me personally is like, I am a mortgage loan officer. I do have access to people's financial data, but at the same time, like, I'm not a financial coach, right?
Okay.
Even though I have the skills and the ability to do it, I do actually lean on Jessica very heavily to say, okay, what do you think about this? What solution do we have for this individual? Now, me personally, speaking from experience, I think number one is I don't have enough money, but if you're not doing anything to save, how can you get enough money? So a lot of times it's like taking that first step. That's the biggest thing for me, and that's where we come back to the power of the partnership, right?
Okay.
So that's number one. Number two is outside of not being able to save, like, I'll never be able to do this. And sometimes people are so much closer than they think. Like when I'm looking at their financials and when I'm going through everything, I'm like, I mean, you're paying $3,400 in rent right now. Like, how far could you be away from home ownership, right?
Okay.
So like, there's that aspect of it. And I think I've mentioned this before, just the overall lack of trust for people in the financial space, whether it's because, I'm sure there's a lot of historical pieces to it, but also like, as a financial professional, I find it so imperative to be knowledgeable, because if you, at the very least, you don't have the answer, at least be able to guide them to someone who does. And I don't have to be the center of that. And I think that's the biggest piece for me. That was 3. 4, I would say not starting at all. Don't do that, and number 5 is not paying attention to the market. So even if you're not ready to buy, you at least need to know what's going on and what that means for you if you're ready to buy 5 years down the road. If it's 5 years and you haven't started having some type of plan in place, the thing is, in 5 years, homes are going to cost more.
Right.
So start.
Okay, so in the last 2 minutes that we've got, we just blew through this. Okay, so you're gonna get, so you know my drill.
Yeah.
Okay, camera 1. Okay, so what you're going to do in this last 2 minutes is tell us why you think Jessica is a special person and why she should be on your team.
Well, I think Jessica is a special person. One, because I think her heart is in the right place. I think her wanting to help the community and her wanting to do it for the betterment of people is what would allow people to trust her and trust her ability to help them. I think that for all of us, as it stands here, some of us have maybe we've all purchased homes, right? And some of us, we don't know what that looks like until we get into that space. So just starting in the first place, which is Jessica, you know what I mean? And if you are confused at all about where you ought to be, like, she's a great place to start.
Tell us about Jessica, what you like about her best.
I definitely would agree with Donna and echo the portion that she stated about Jessica caring, because that's like the biggest thing that attracted me to her. And once we started talking, we just found that there was like a natural and organic feeling that we all had about helping people. And I feel like for so long, I've had that question in my business, like, who can I trust, who can I work with? And it was the first time I felt like it organically just clicked. I didn't have to ask her for anything. We just started working on things, and then before you know it, she was calling me, Diane, I have a client, or, so it was the collaboration, it was the partnership. She is not out here trying to put all of the attention on herself. She's really trying to work with people to create a solution for everybody, and that's what I love about her.
Yeah. You've told us who you are, and you told us about yourself. Now tell the camera who you are, where they can reach you, and anything else you want to tell them in 30 seconds.
So again, my name is Jessica Gomes. I'm a financial professional. If you've never had the opportunity to sit with a financial professional, now is definitely the time. Don't wait too long. You can always contact me. You can find me on Facebook, Jessica Gomes, J Gomes Financial. And I guess that's really it. If you feel that you want to do your part to help uplift this community and to pass on financial education to your children so that way they can grow up not making the mistakes that we made, reach out to me.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the power of 3. You got your foundation right here. We're out.
All right, bye.